In the last video, we talked about how to build a healthy plate, but today we're talking about the foods that go against that plate. If this is your first time, welcome. If it's not, I knew you'd be back. I'm Carletta, your plant-based strategist, and today on part 3 of the course, we're going to talk about inflammatory foods. So we're going to cover all of the inflammatory foods. First, we're going to understand what inflammatory foods are. Then we're going to talk about the effects of inflammatory foods on your body. And lastly, we're going to talk about embracing plant-focused lifestyle to reduce inflammation. So let's talk about inflammatory foods. We use it as a catch-all type word, but we understand that inflammatory foods are something that changes or triggers inflammation in your body. We're going to talk about how inflammation in general is not bad for you. It actually is working for you, but when it becomes a chronic situation, it then becomes a chronic disease. What are inflammatory foods? When we talk about inflammation, that means that this is your body's immune system trying to fight off something. But it could be fighting off something that is the basic things that are going on in your body. Let's break it down into details. My nutrition nerds, this is for you. So common inflammatory foods, we're going to start off with sugars. As you see here, these are not limited to any type of sugars. We're talking about candy, cookies, soda, breakfast cereal, ice cream. Some of these things are things that you think are regular basic things that you eat, but they are actually going against your body. Next, we have refined carbs. We have white bread, white rice, pasta made from refined flours, breakfast cereals, baked goods, all of these things. Next, we have processed foods. Processed foods could be frozen pizza. It could be packaged snacks. It could be canned soup. It could be instant noodles. It could be deli meats. Speaking of deli meats, let's go over to red meats. We have bacon. We have sausage, hot dogs, cold cuts. These are all things that are going against us, as well as lastly, certain cooking oils. And that could be vegetable oil, soybean oil, corn oil, cottonseed oil. Boy, do I see cottonseed oil in a lot of peanut butters in hotels. It is crazy to imagine that we're ingesting that in our bodies, but it happens all the time. So the link to chronic disease and inflammation and inflammatory foods are when your body is going into inflammation mode, when it's going to go fight, it's fighting not just what it thinks is a disease, but it's also fighting organs. So for example, for heart disease is the number 1 killer of Americans in the United States. And it's there for a reason. It's because if you're eating so many processed foods, it is clogging your arteries and your blood vessels are not able to pump all the blood and nutrients to every area of your body. When it comes to diabetes, that is inflammation that is causing your pancreas not to perform to its best of its abilities, as well as it does not process sugars, and it becomes insulin resistant. Sometimes diabetes is something that is a childhood disease, but it could also become something that is a chronic disease that was self-inflicted. Number 3, there is autoimmune diseases. We know that it is on the rampage right now. Most people are getting autoimmune diseases, but it's always because your body is constantly inflamed. So that inflammation is trying to fight off things and is mixed up and it doesn't know, where you see things like lupus, things like Crohn's disease, things like Graves' disease. These are all autoimmune. All right, so inflammation, what is it and how does this work? So inflammation is your body's little army. It makes sure that your body is in tip-top shape and that nothing invades it that's not supposed to. And if so, it's going to fight it off. And so the problem with that is that a lot of times with inflammatory foods, there is no problem. It's just a preservative or a chemical that your body doesn't recognize as food. And so it has to go into fight mode. And it will. Thank goodness for that. So if you did hurt yourself, or if you did have any kind of other chronic pain, is more or less a warning to let you know, hey, there's something wrong and we need to fix it. And the case is no different. Chronic inflammation is something that is happening too often, and it does not stand down. Those soldiers do not stand down at all. They are constantly active, and they're making sure that your body is taken care of. So the impact of your digestive health. When you eat too many of these foods and your digestive system gets upset and irritated, the irritation can lead to things like leaky gut syndrome. That makes your intestines completely vulnerable, and it actually stops your body from absorbing nutrients. So you want your body to have all the nutrients it possibly can, but in this case, is lacking because it's leaking through and going other places. And that just makes your body more and more confused on what to do, how to react, how to respond, how to digest. And we don't need any of this miscommunication in our bodies. Now, weight gain is another symptom of eating inflammatory foods as well as metabolic syndrome. We see here that inflammatory foods that contain many sugars and unhealthy fats, this is breaking down our body and is confusing our hormones. It's making our body feel as though it's out of control and that it needs to work harder to get in control. And in that process, it's a fluctuation of holding on to fat, storing it, keeping it. Oh my gosh, I don't know what's going to happen next, so let me prepare for that. This is all that inflammatory foods brings. It just brings chaos. Now, a big sign of inflammation for a lot of people is joint pain, and especially when we're getting older, it is even more inevitable if we're not eating what we're supposed to. Now, inflammatory triggers, that means that some foods that are high in refined sugars, they're high in unhealthy fats, so like our fried foods, these are things that make our body feel like there's something wrong. When it comes to being triggered, our body releases molecules, and so you see that they start attacking the joints, and that's a lot of times where that joint pain is coming from. Red meats associated with joint inflammation, we know that with all the chemicals they put into a lot of the meats, or even a lot of the cured meats, that way that it stays fresh for the meat, but it's not staying fresh in our bodies. Those are the things that trigger inflammation, as well as cooking oils. We know that that is a big factor when it comes to inflammation. We're trying to eat more omega-3s than omega-6s and omega-9s, but most of our foods are high in omega-6s and omega-9s, especially our fried foods. Now, the alternative to that is a more plant-forward or plant-focused or plant food diet. So we're looking at how each of these plant-based foods are nothing but complementary to the body. So we see that fruits are packed with antioxidants that help combat inflammation. So it's going to help fight it off, as well as fiber that's going to help the gut. We have vegetables, we have phytochemicals in our vegetables that help fight off inflammation as well. And it's high in vitamins and minerals, which helps with our overall health. We have whole grains here, which is full of fiber. Fiber, we know, helps contain and control inflammation. And because of this, our complex carbs help regulate our sugars and our inflammatory responses. Nuts are a great source of omega-3s. And because of that, we know we're fighting off inflammation, as well as there are actually antioxidants in nuts that some people don't know about. And lastly, seeds. Seeds are high in omega-3s as well, which is anti-inflammatory. The ultimate anti-inflammatory fat. And because we have all of that just easily accessible through chia seeds and flax seeds, there's no reason why we should not sprinkle that on majority of our foods. Now, we already talked about building a balanced plate, but let's talk about it again, just a little bit. So we're diversifying our plant foods. So we're doing a little bit of everything. We have fruits, vegetables, seeds, nuts. This way we're getting a wide range of nutrients, and we're covering all of our bases. Having a balance in macronutrients, we want to make sure that we are doing that plate method in the sense of we have our carbohydrates, but they're complex carbs, which should be a little bit higher because they're vegetables and not because they're refined carbs. And so we have our protein, we know it's going to be a quarter, and then our grains are going to be a quarter of our plate, keeping it balanced. And lastly, mindful cooking. So if we're using mindful cooking methods, that means that we're sauteing, but we're sauteing with the right type of oils, or we're sauteing with vegetable broth or water. We can also steam our vegetables. We can roast them. We're not frying it and using all those trans fats, which again are inflammatory. I can't talk more and more about omega-3s. I know you're thinking, this girl is dramatic, but it's real. Omega-3s are the thing you want to have in your diet every single day. This is helping you fight off heart disease. It's helping with blood clots. It's helping with cholesterol. It's helping with your brain function. So when you see inflammation in the brain, it's helping reduce those kind of things like cognitive decline. It's helping with your joints. It's making sure things like arthritis is not coming and flaring up. Omega-3s, yeah. Another way, not just in our fats, but another way to get inflammation down is through herbs. We have all types of different teas and components, and some of the few that we can use are right here. We can use turmeric. We know that turmeric is anti-inflammatory, but we have to have black pepper with the turmeric for it to actually activate and do its job. We have ginger. People really sleep on ginger. Ginger has so many anti-inflammatory properties, as well as helps with a lot of digestive health. Green tea is full of antioxidants, not just caffeine, but antioxidants as well, to help our body calm down and stay at peace in every area of our body from head to toe. Now, these are practical tips that people can use and incorporate right now. Not everybody's ready to jump head first in a plant-based lifestyle. So these are some baby steps to get you going. We can start off with a meatless Monday. So one day out of the week, not eating any kind of meats, but you can also incorporate that to one meal per day. And that's one less on your plate. It surprisingly reduces inflammation just by making that little baby step. You can explore some plant-based proteins. When I say plant-based proteins, I'm not talking about a processed meat. I'm talking about a whole food process of that. So beans, lentils, tofu, tempeh, these are all things that are nutrient rich on your plate and can help you start off your lifestyle right. Lastly, building colorful plates. There is nothing but minerals and antioxidants and phytonutrients throughout any kind of food that has different colors. So red, yellow, blue, green. If it's bright in that color, that means it has even more of that nutrients in it. So you want to be able to take advantage of it. And so there are plenty of different ways that we can be mindful in avoiding inflammatory foods and staying more plant focused. We want to make sure that we diversify our plant foods. We want to have variety throughout our day, not just to try to see if you can eat all of them in one sitting, but kind of sprinkle them throughout. That way you're more likely to be consistent, and this is more likely to be sustainable. We want to incorporate anti-inflammatory spices. We talked about turmeric, ginger, green tea, things like that. That way we can help promote more healthy eating as well as bring down the inflammatory markers. Lastly, be balanced and be mindful. So being balanced is just not enough. We want to make intentional steps into making sure that our food is helping work for us and not against us. We want to make sure we're eating the right foods as well as cooking the proper ways to reduce our chances of inflammation flaring up in our bodies. Okay, now be truthful. Did you find this helpful? Did it reinvigorate all the information you already knew about inflammatory foods? Did you learn something new about inflammatory foods? Put it in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me know what more you need as we're going through this course and how you're using this information to help benefit your plate. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the next video coming up real soon. Bye.